Hello and welcome to another episode of Develop with WP. In today's video is going to be, we're going to do some cool stuff, but we're also going to do a bit of tedious stuff. I've taken, as I've mentioned in the last few videos, I've taken a break from this tutorial series for a while. And as I'm looking around in the code, I'm realizing, I could have done better in a couple of spots. And I don't remember why. I'd like to think it was just due to trying to make things not as complex. But I think now is a good spot where we should do a bit of refactoring and that kind of thing. So here's what we're going to do in today's video, if I can try and remember all of it right now. We are going to refactor some code. We are going to make this, we're going to get the styles enqueued so that we can make this list look better. And we're also going to do the very, very beginning steps of making this draggable. So what's going to happen, what we're going to get it to in this video is we're going to get it to a point where these are actually clickable and draggable and you can actually reorder them. However, as you'll see when we get to it, it's merely allowing us to have the ability to drag them. It's not actually saving or doing anything with that data yet. That's a lot more complicated part, which as I've thought about this, I feel like should be its own video. So we're going to do a little bit of refactoring, make this look better, and also get the drag and drop UI stuff working on the surface. And then in the next video, we'll actually wire it all up into WordPress and actually have these drag events trigger a saving action within WordPress to update the database so that our actual changes persist. So let's get started. If we look at the code, so let's make it look good first. If we go to admin job CSS, I actually have the code. You can see here it says settings page styles. I'm not sure if I had you do this or if this is something I had, but I have the styles in here. And actually, let me break this up so we can see the difference. Whoa, that's not what I want. So these are the field styles that we used earlier when we did our fields and also our quick tags. But I already have the code up here for the settings page. And actually, as I'm looking at this, I'm going to go ahead and take this part out because this is just some legacy code from days gone by. So I have the code in here. It's just these three declarations right here. If you don't have this code, go ahead and take a minute and get caught up and add this to the adminjobs.css file. And we'll you can pick it up after that. So pause the video and add this in, and then we'll take it from there. All right, so if you have that in there, you're probably wondering, well, if the styles are in there, why is this not looking good? Well, the reason it's not looking good is that when we first did our code, when we first enqueued the styles for this, you'll see that this admin CSS is being enqueued, and we have a rather strict conditional declaration. And pretty much what we've done is we've said only load any of these files if you're on this post page and you're on the type now of job. So we're not on that kind of a page, so this is not showing. So what we need to do is, this is all good, but what we need to do is we need to pull out this admin CSS, just this one, and put it in a different declaration that's still limiting but not as limiting. So let's do that here. So we're going to do if, and we're going to do this, we're going to use type now and page now, which we used before. Since we already have these globals available and they're a decent check, we're going to go ahead and roll with that. So we're going to put if type now I'm just not on it, equals job, then we want you to show this. And we want to show this one. And I think that this will be limiting enough to suffice for what we've done. So all I've done here, and let me actually add another entry here. So I'm cleaning up some code as we go, just trying to make things more readable. So all we've done is we pulled out the actual style sheet that we're using for our plugin, and we put it into another conditional. It says only show this style sheet if you're on something that has to do with the job. And let's save this, and let's go look at this. All right, so you can see we're getting better. It's looking better. Real quick before I jump into some more detail about this type now stuff, let's go back to this thing, and I actually want to add just a little bit more to this. Let's see, I want to add a max width. And the max width that we're going to set will be 400 pixels or something. And then we're also going to add some padding. I don't know, 10 pixels. Always 10 pixels is a safe bet. So let's go look at this. There we go. Now it looks really, really good. If I do say so myself. So again, going back to this, all we did was move it into a different conditional statement. And this type now, if we were to look, if we were to go to our settings page, and in this function, do global type now, and then at the bottom of everything, var dump that type now. We would see that our type now is job. So that's the styling. It looks pretty decent. Let's move on to getting this thing to where we can drag and reorder it. To do this, this is going to require JavaScript. So you're going to have to pause the movie again, but I've went ahead and created in our JS directory. I've created a file called reorder.js, and I have it right here. It's empty at the moment. But I have this file called reorder.js. So go ahead and pause the video, create that, and then come back and we'll work on enqueuing it. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to have to enqueue one more file. Again, this declaration is not going to fit for this settings page. And we could put it in here, but if we did that, it would also load here. So we want to make one more declaration. And this one we're going to use is going to use type now and page now, just like this. So if you remember before, page now was either post.php or post-new.php. If we go to our settings page and put in page now, and then var dump that, we would see that the page now here is edit.php. So we're going to use these two values just like we did before for this next conditional on the main page. So if page now equals edit.php and the type now equals job, then we want to do this. Oops. All right. And we want to enqueue a script. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab this one and copy it. And then we're just going to make some changes. So it's just going to be called reorder.js. And then this right here, the file is called reorder.js. And we're going to have a jQuery and then jQuery UI sortable, I think. So these are our dependencies. And I'm going to set a new date, 06/26. I think that's today's date, or close enough. So we're setting our dependencies. If we look in here, and I may have showed you this, these are the default scripts in the codex. It shows you all the scripts that are already loaded by default by WordPress. And if we look on here, jQuery UI sortable is one of them, and here's the slug jQuery UI sortable. And that is what we used here, jQuery UI sortable. So that's pretty neat. I think we've touched on this before, so I won't take long. But essentially, because these are already being loaded with WordPress, you don't actually have to define them as an enqueue. You can just simply set them as a dependency. That's what we've done here. So we'll save this. We'll go back to our settings page. I'm going to go ahead and remove this stuff. This was just to show you. Get rid of the global. Save it. And if we go back to our page, nothing should happen. But if we inspect and we scroll to the bottom, you can now see that this WP job listing JS reorder.js is loading. And if we were to go somewhere else in jobs, say like and edit one and look, we would see that it is not here. Admin jobs is there, quick tags is there, but that reorder is not there. So that's good. That's exactly what we want. Again, we're trying to be performant, and we don't want to be loading stuff if it doesn't need to be loaded. Plain and simple. Okay, so that's that in a nutshell. The next step, like I said, I wanted to do is a little bit of cleanup. So anywhere that we're outputting, mainly I saw this in the fields, anywhere we're outputting a string of text, I want to localize it. So for example, right here, I want to put this, I want to localize this. This is the meta box call. So I'm just wrapping all these strings in some type of function so that they get, so that if we ever were to make this, just so that the plugin's translation ready. So right here, I'm going to do PHP. I'm going to do escape HTML-E. Put it in quotes, comma. Then we're going to do our text domain, WP job listing, end quote, and then parentheses, semicolon, boom. All right. And just to check really quick, so I've escaped this job ID label, and I have escaped the meta box title. So let's just go make sure we didn't break anything. So if we go to job listings and we go to edit, you can see the job ID still shows up and job listing still showed up. We didn't change anything other than now it is being actually, that's not what I wanted to do. I don't really need to escape this. We just need to echo this out. So similar, but just disregard. We didn't really need to escape it. We just needed to sanitize it because it's not a value that changes. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. The point is that we're just going to echo and output these so that they're localized. So I'm going to go through and do all of these values, but I'm not going to have you sit here and watch me do that. There is one more section that I want to talk about. You can go and change. Again, you're going to copy this verbatim. Let's do one more. So for this one, I'm just going to go PHP _ E parentheses listing close PHP. All right, so that's all you're doing for all of these values. But there is one more thing that we do need to do before we move on. If we go back to the job listing settings page, you'll see down here where we output, where is it at? We escaped, okay, so we escaped our URL when we output the image for the loading icon. But one of the things we didn't do is, and even though these are core WordPress functions, one of the tenets that I follow and that I think is important to follow is to always escape on output no matter what. So even though these are like core WordPress functions and you should in theory be able to rely on them, we're going to escape them anyway. So let's do that. So for this right here, the ID, this is being stored as an attribute for the LI, and WordPress has thing called escape attribute, ATTR. So we're just going to wrap this in that function. And then for title, this is just HTML. We're going to do escape HTML. And we're simply just wrapping the title function within this function. All right, let's save that. Let's go back to our reorder page and make sure it still looks there. The title's still showing up. If we inspect it, we'll see that the ID is still showing up. So once again, on the surface we didn't change anything, but in the back end we just made our code a little bit more secure. So that's one of the things. Always escape on output no matter what. And so that's what we're doing here. So that's it for this video. Is it? No, it's not. We still got to do the draggable. Okay, we're ready. So between this video and the next video, I'm going to go through and finish changing all these, but I'm not going to have you watch me do that. Let's do our reordering. So we have our jQuery. We're going to be using jQuery. We've been using jQuery for this whole project, so we're going to continue to use it. So we're going to do our normal declaration for every jQuery file that we've done so far. Okay, so we have our document ready. And what we're going to do is, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set a variable called sortList. Again, this is just a name that I came up with. And we're going to make that equal to $, UL, and then it is custom. I'll explain this in just one second. Custom type list. Okay. So we're storing in a variable. We're simply taking this element. So we're using jQuery to target an unordered list item with the ID of custom type list. And if we look at our settings page, we'll see that our unordered list has that same thing of custom type list. So really what we're doing is we're storing this DOM element in a variable. That's all we're doing. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to take that variable sort list, and we are going to use jQuery UI, and it has a method called sortable, and we're going to call that on this sort list. So sortable. Okay, and then we're going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff with this. But for now, let's save it like that. So again, we've done two things. We've captured this DOM element in a variable called sortList, and then we've executed sortList or sortable on that variable. So let's go look at our code. Really quick though, before we do, I wanted to show you this. Maybe I've already done that. Well, here, let's do this really quick. Let's refresh. Alright, and you can see now that these are draggable. See that? And they pop into place, and it looks really, really good. The problem is, as you can see right here, I have 1, 3, 2. If I save, they go back to 1, 2, 3. And again, that's what I was talking about at the beginning of the video. This isn't persisting. I'm simply just showing you how easy it is just to get this going. I want to do one more thing. Let me comment out this, save it, go back and then refresh it. And look at this. If you look at this unordered list, it just says custom type list, and you have your IDs, and that's it. But when I execute this command, refresh, you see that we now have this class added called UI sortable, and we also have a class of UI sortable handle added to each of the elements. So it's pretty neat how jQuery knows that we've set jQuery sortable. We've executed that command on this element, but this is a parent element, and so it's also went and changed all of the children. So that's really neat. It's one of the benefits that makes jQuery so popular, because it makes things easy to do. All right, so that's really all we have here. Again, we've simply made a list that's draggable and sortable, but it doesn't stay. The next video is going to be a very challenging video for me to do, because there's a lot going on. I want to make sure that I do it in a way that you understand. But in the next video, we're actually going to be going through the process of making an AJAX request to the server and having WordPress actually update the database and save this data for us, so that when we do refresh the page, the order sticks. So that'll be the next video. Don't forget to go change all the fields. I guess you don't have to, but I'm going to. So change all your fields. Make sure you localize all those strings. And I hope this video was somewhat informative. Hopefully you realized that jQuery is pretty easy to use. But yeah, I'll see you in the next video. And like, subscribe, share, comment. See ya.